I am going to mute our mics, but if you ever have any questions or comments, please just unmute yourself or use the chat box at the bottom. I do keep an eye on the screen. So the pose that we'll be starting in is Supta Baddha Konasana. You don't need to use all the props, but they will definitely help if you have them. Awesome. So looks like we're good. So happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you all for continuing to tune in and being so supportive of not only all of us instructors, but just our community for each other and for Austin Yoga Tree. So it's a real blessing that we can still continue to plug ourselves in together and recharge our batteries. So let's do that. Let's get started. We will start in this Baddha Konasana, lying down on our back. Now, of course, I'll give you modifications for the legs as well. So if the bound angle pose doesn't work, you'll have other options. So a bigger pillow, just a pillow off the bed, or if you have a bolster towards the front of your mat, that will help support the legs. And then we've been using either a blanket or a bath towel to give us a little bit of spinal support. So if you take your blanket or towel and you get it into this longer rectangular version, we will continue to try to make it a little bit smaller rectangle. And then about the size of rectangle I have in my blanket, I'm going to fold it one more time, long edge to long edge, so that I end up with a longer, skinnier rectangular fold. And that I'm going to place towards the back of my mat to support the head and the whole length of the spine. And we will be sitting on our mat. Again, these are optional. If you have them, might feel a little nicer. If you don't have a quilt that's easy to use, bath towel, little smaller, but still long, rectangular shape. Now you might want to leave a few inches between your low back and that short end of the blanket for the spine, so that the low back does have a little bit of space to kind of drop down towards the floor. Use the support of your hands, start to release the spine all the way down. If we need a little additional support for the head, either tuck leftover blanket underneath the head, or just slide your bath towel or a smaller pillow underneath the head. And then draw the shoulder blades under. Depending on how skinny our blanket is, you might have a little bit more chest opening. We'll allow the elbows to bend from the shoulders and our cactus arms, and then try to let the backs of the hands fall towards the ground. If you notice one or both of the hands don't easily touch, just allow gravity to take some time here to stretch out those muscles or move them around until you're comfortable. Now, as far as the legs, again, Baddha Konasana, we draw the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall open. The pillow will definitely give you a little bit more support. Now, the feet can be on the pillow. If you have a little bit smaller of the pillow, you can bring the feet to the floor in front of the pillow, so that the pillow is supporting more of the bones of the legs. So two options, feet up or down. Now, if it's more comfortable for the back, simply bend your knees up and together, feet to the floor, and always an option to just let the legs open and fall open into Shavasana. And once we get into position here, make sure you are lengthening and sinking the low back to the ground. We start to let the whole weight of the body sink towards the ground. We loosen some things up, make all our little adjustments here so that we can find our most comfortable place on our mat. And then let's close our eyes once we're in that place to redirect our attention inward and to settle our mind into our body and onto our mat. Let's start with 2 deep breaths. So on our inhale, let's try to breathe through the nose and fill ourselves up. Just take a nice big breath into the body. And then nice big exhale right back out through the nose. Let the whole body relax towards the ground. Feel any tension or stress leaving the body. One more time. Inhale, breathing through the nose, filling ourselves up. Feel that expansion. And exhale, let it all the way back out, letting any stressors of the day go. Feel the whole body relax towards the ground. We'll continue to try to breathe smoothly and evenly here through the nose. Let's take a mental scan of our bodies, consciously letting go of any unnecessary tension we might find. So we allow the back of the head to fall towards the floor. Release any expression of the face. Soften the brow around the eyes. Move the cheeks with the air, wiggle out the mouth. Relax the throat. If we have that support under the spine and shoulders are dropping towards the ground, elbows and hands, we'll feel that nice stretch in the front of the chest. So this can help counter that rounding and flexion we happen to do throughout our day, especially if we're seated quite a bit on our phones, computers, whatever it might be. So just really allow that front half of the body to open. Let's start to relax around the waist, the abdomen, the low back. And then start to notice the area around the pelvic bowl, lower belly, low back, deep into those hip sockets, around the hips, the buttocks. Soften and relax. Notice the area below the navel center and the pelvic floor. We have been working on the pelvic floor this last month, and we could still incorporate some of that awareness and engagement through July. Knees are open and bound angle. Try to relax through those knee joints or whatever position the legs are in, all the way down through the ankles, feet, and toes. So some of us might have noticed that there are areas of our body this evening that need a little extra TLC, that we're healing, taking care of. And let's try to acknowledge all of those areas without labeling them bad, and just accepting them wherever they are this evening. Remembering that we always modify, adjust our practice, allowing our breath to be our guide, and practicing with a quality of santosha or contentment. So from here, if you feel like you do need to make any adjustments, make them. We are going to stay here a little longer, and we're going to open up tonight with a pranayama practice as well. So this pranayama is a gentle, nice full breath, and it's called 3-part breathing. And it's a way to incorporate all the dimensions of our torso and around the diaphragm, the thoracic part of our body, and all the way up into the throat. And we often call this a wave-like breath, and just thinking of this quality of water and fluidity in our body. So at this point, just carefully place your right hand on the lower abdomen and your left hand up near the heart or the chest. And try to let the shoulders and elbows, as best you can, relax down towards the ground. We'll continue to breathe in and out through the nose. And then on our next inhale, start with the abdomen, breathe in, let that belly expand and rise. Continue to fill yourself up into the rib cage and chest. Notice the chest rise all the way up into the throat. And then on the exhale, we reverse and breathe that breath back out. So soften the throat, relax the chest, and at the bottom of the breath, just very gently draw that low belly in to help empty the lungs. Inhale, breathing, we start with that low belly, let it expand and rise. Continue to fill the body, let the rib cage stretch and expand all the way up into the throat and the brim. Exhale, breathing, empty back out from the top to the bottom. Relax the throat, soften the chest, and at the very bottom of that exhale, gently draw the belly in to help breathe all that breath out. Feeling that sensation of a wave rolling in and out of the body with the breath. So let's try a couple more rounds at our own rhythm and pace. Over time, we might be able to start improving our lung capacity here and lengthening the breath. So on those inhales, maybe try to sip in 1 or 2 more counts. And then remembering the exhale, we want to try to keep it as equal as possible. So on the exhale, exhaling 1 or 2 more counts. And let's all try. 1 more round, nice big 3-part wave-like breath. Whenever we get to our next exhale, that's the one, just take your time to really exhale, 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 every last drop. At the bottom of the exhale, we will let go, trying to follow and control the breath for a moment to let the breath wander wherever it wants to. Release the hands back down to the floor beside the body. And we'll start to wake the body gently back up, so you can give your toes a little wiggle. Wiggle the fingertips, rock the head side to side here. If our knees are still open in Baddha Konasana, we'll draw the knees up towards the ceiling. Let's all try to straighten the legs out down the middle of the yoga mat. Inhale, reach the arms overhead into our long body stretch. And just stretch everything out for a moment so you can stretch side to side, point and flex the feet a couple of times, spread those fingers and toes. Take 1 more deep breath in. And then our next exhale, walk your feet in. Depending on how high we're lifted up, just float your knees up a little bit. We're going to take ourselves over to our right side, or whatever side is easiest for you. Pausing in our sleeping baby pose for a moment. So rest the head on the arm. Let your top hand come to the floor in front of the heart. And then look to the ground, press down into the ground, and slowly press the body up. Now we are going to come back down onto our backs tonight, but we do want to try to slide the props out of our way and lie flat to the floor if it's possible. You need to take a little bit of support behind the back of the head. That should be fine. Once we've cleared our space, we'll just come right back down onto our back. Make sure we loosen things up here. Slide those shoulder blades under. Bring the insides of the legs to touch and re-extend them right down the middle of the yoga mat. Bring those arms down beside the body, palms down, draw the shoulder blades under. So we have done these couple warm-ups for a few classes as well. They're fluid movements. They help warm the whole body, get our blood flowing, and help loosen the hips. So water pump pose. On the inhale, re-extend those arms up to the ceiling and overhead. Flex your feet. So we're pulling our toes towards our shin bones. And I want you to spread the fingers and toes as wide as possible. Now on the exhale, point the toes to the front of the yoga mat, and with some strength, pump your arms back down beside the body, drawing the low belly in towards the back. Inhale, breathing, re-extend the arms overhead, flex the feet, so a little coordination here. Low back may gently arch. Exhale, point the toes, pump the arms down, draw the low belly in. Inhale. Into extension, reaching arms overhead. Now this next exhale, if we want a little bit more, point the toes, pump the arms down, belly draws in, head may float up as you look to your toes, and just a very gentle abdominal crunch. The inhale, reaching back overhead, brings the head back down. Let's all do 2 more with our breath. Try to make those exhales a little bit more strong if you want it. And remember on the inhale, those feet are flexing, those toes are spreading. Now we'll meet on the inhale and we'll go right into our flowing wind relieving pose tonight. So this is going to start to get into the hip area. So inhale, arms overhead. This exhale draws the belly in. Use your core to bend up your right knee. Now the arms continue to pump down beside the body and the head may continue to lift. The feet can continue to flex. Inhale, we re-extend the leg and the arms overhead. Exhale, draw the belly in. Pull the left knee up this time. Pump those arms down, head floats. Inhale, re-extend. We'll do 1 more to each side. So on the exhale, try to draw that knee towards the nose. If you want a little bit more, reach your fingertips to the front of your mat. Inhale, stretch everything out. 1 more right, left side. Again, we'll meet on that inhale, reaching the arms overhead. Now this next exhale, we'll draw the right knee back up. We're going to take the more traditional version of Pavana Muktasan. So try to interweave all 10 fingers on that right shin bone just below the knee. Inhale, fill the belly. And on the exhale, draw the right knee towards the right armpit. So it's not falling out to the side of the body. It's not pulling towards the center of the chest. It's moving out just about a half an inch or an inch. And we might feel that little bit of pinching across the front of the right hip. Now we're going to hold and breathe here. So on the inhales, if you want, you can back off just a little bit. Fill the belly. And then on the exhale, gently pull. Shoulders down, elbows down. Let the strength of the hands do the work. Now we can be really relaxed around our hips and the legs here. So the feet can be also very relaxed. Just using the hands to give that hip a stretch and to compress our abdomen and the internal organs. One more breath. On the inhale, we'll release the right foot, slide it down, re-extend the arms overhead so the blood can rush back out to fingertips and toes. Exhale, pull the left knee in, and weave all 10 fingers to that shin bone just below the knee. Shoulders are tucked under. Breathe into the belly, let the abdomen expand, and on the exhale, we're drawing the left knee towards the armpit. So again, just don't let it fall all the way open. Don't try to compress towards the center of your chest. Let it come out just a little bit towards the side of the torso. And try to keep your elbows pretty close to the body. The inhale, maybe back off a little bit so the abdomen can expand. Exhale, gently pull. Again, we'll feel maybe a little bit of pinching. This should not pull or go back from the floor, so if it does, you need to back off a little bit. And you can always hold behind the knee if that's better for the knees as well. One more breath. Pavana Muktasan, wind relieving pose. Exhale, pull, pull, pull. The inhale releases the foot, slide it down. Arms reach overhead, stretch everything out. Exhale, pull the right knee back up towards the body. So we're back on the right leg. But this time, let your right hand rest near the right knee. And the left hand can just fall down beside you, or place your left hand on top of the left hip to remind you to keep your low back flat to the floor. We will windshield wipe our right thigh bone open and close. So on the inhale, now I am going to let the right knee fall open with some assistance of the hand. And then exhale, I'm going to draw the knee back up to center and slightly across the midline. So inhale, thigh bone opens. Exhale, closes. Now try not to rock too much in the torso. Low back stays grounded. We're trying to isolate this movement in that thigh bone, opening and closing. Now we can do this without the hands and bring the arms down if you do want to do a little bit more strengthening here, but the hand is there to offer it a little bit of support. Now bring the knee to neutral and we'll stir the pot. So you'll start to draw a circle with the right knee, and the right foot's relaxed here, excuse me. I'm just trying to get into that right hip area. It doesn't matter which way you're circling around, and if your circle's a little or big, because we're going to switch directions here in just a second. So start to circle the other way again, rolling around in that hip socket. Option to do this without the assistance of the hand, using your muscles around the hip to roll it, so you can experiment with that a little bit. Low belly can be gently drawing in to help stabilize that low back. Now bring that knee back to center, straighten the leg straight up to the ceiling, bring the hands behind the right thigh, and try to press your right thigh bone forward into your hands to try to straighten the leg out. The leg doesn't need to be stacked right above the hip. It can be a little further away from you. And I want you to actively flex both feet. Spread the toes, pull the toes to the shin bones, press those heels out and up. We're actively pushing thigh bone into hamstring muscle, thigh into hands. We might even feel that help stretch out the top of the shoulders here. Take a nice deep breath in. Now in the exhale, see if you can gently try to bring the right leg a little closer. Some of us can try to reach up to the right calf bone and float the head up here, nose towards the knee. Take a breath in. And then on the exhale, lower the head, With the core, try to lower the right leg straight down to the ground. Drop the foot to the floor if that's easier for the body. Inhale, breathing, reach those arms overhead, stretch it all out. Exhale, pull the left knee in. Draw the hand towards the body. Left hand stays on the knee, right arm relaxes down beside the body, or place your right hand on your hip to ground it. Inhale, knee opens. Exhale, bring it up and across the midline a little bit. So windshield wiping first. I am trying to keep my right side down, so I don't want my torso to be rocking. I want to feel that thigh bone moving in and around that hip socket. Inhale to open, exhale. Experimenting without the help of the hand for those of us that want to do a little bit of stability and strengthening for those muscles. Bring the knee up to neutral, fingertips to the knee, stirring the pot. So start to draw circles one direction. Little, medium, big, whatever feels best for the hip. Again, with or without the assistance of the hand. And then let's switch it up, start circling that knee the other way. We're moving at the thigh bone in the hip socket, so the foot can be relaxed, trying to loosen up the area around the hips, and keeping that low back as flat to the floor as possible. And then circle that knee back to neutral, bring the hands behind the left thigh, start to straighten the left leg up towards the ceiling, pressing the thigh as strongly as we can into those hands. We'll feel the meaty part of that hamstring muscle. Now actively flex both feet, so right leg is anchored to the ground, spread those toes. Continue to draw that low belly in. One more breath. On the next exhale, maybe try to get that left leg a little closer to the body, or those of us that would like, we'll slide our hands up to the calf muscle, float the head up as if we were trying to draw the nose towards the knee. Now you might be able to do that, but the intention is there. We'll take a breath in, exhale. And then our next inhale, lower the head, and with control, try to lower that left leg down. If it's better for the body to drop the foot to the floor first, do so. And then reach those arms overhead to stretch everything out. And then exhale, let's float both arms down, hug both knees in, bring the right arm beside the head, and roll back over to our right. So we have been on our back for a while, so let's pause in our sleeping child's pose for a moment to help our blood pressure regulate. Head rests on the arm. And then bring that top hand to the floor, look towards the floor, and we'll slowly press our body up. All right, so now we're going to come into a seated position, and we're going to try to go right into Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. Now, I am going to take a little bit of lift underneath my sit bones, and I would suggest the same for you. You can bring yourself up higher, but then you might also need to bring support for the outsides and under the knees. We have done a little bit of hip opening, so maybe we'll have a little bit more freedom there, but we'll just have to wait and see. So if we're taking our lift, we want to still sit up on our sit bones nice and tall, drawing the soles of the feet together, and then drawing the heels towards that pubic bone as much as is comfortable here. Most importantly, we want our spinal column to be in neutral. So if you're getting pulled out of alignment, your knees are up higher, you are going to have to lift yourself up higher. Just make sure that you take enough support for the knees. And so I have a lot of tightness here, so my knees are higher than my hips. Ideally, our knees would either be level with our hips or lower. That's why we would lift ourselves up, so it could probably actually go up a little higher. Let's try that, see if that helps. And then let's bring our hands towards the ankles or feet here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So I lifted myself up another couple inches. And when we bring the soles of the feet together, I want us to actively press the mounds of the big toes together, the mounds of the pinky toes together, and try to simultaneously pull your toes apart, and then press the centers of the heels together as much as you can. And when you look down into those feet here, ideally what we'd like to see is this almond shape, and be able to see all the way to the floor. And by pulling those toes apart and pressing the 3 points together helps activate the arches of the feet. Now, if your feet come all the way together, that's okay. Don't worry about it, but this is a good exercise to do to help build up the strength of the arches of the feet again and help with that collapsed arches. From here, lift and lengthen up to the crown of the head. On the exhale, those of us that would like, we may try to hinge from the hips, but the spine is long and straight and erect. There's no rounding of the spine. I'm drawing my chest and heart forward. I'm drawing my elbows in. And think more of the action of drawing the thigh bones down and into the hip sockets instead of just trying to jam the knees down. Feel the intention of pulling thigh bones into hip sockets. Now, some of you might want to take this a little further. You can contract a little bit more through the front body and walk the fingertips forward. If you can keep that extension and lengthen the front of the spine, you might even be able to bring the forehead to a prop or the floor. So we can all look very different in the pose and be feeling very different things in this pose. Wherever we are, let's enjoy it for one more full deep breath. Using that exhale to just help soften and release tension and tightness in my arm. And then on our next breath in, we'll come up out of the pose. If you've gone further into it, just use your hands to walk up to restack the spine. Take a hold of those knees. Step your feet nice and wide, knees up towards the ceiling. Bringing weight onto our fingertips or hands behind us, and just gently rock the knees side to side here, again to help loosen up the hips. And then we're going to slide our feet out and visit our Upavishta Konasana. So this is wide angle pose. It's not necessarily about doing the splits. Again, if we're lifted higher up, that's okay, but then you might need to take 2 pillows or 2 towels and also support with the backs of the knees. You don't want the backs of the knees sinking and collapsing towards the ground. Another thing we could do is just intentionally activate the quads a little bit more and keep a tiny micro bend in the knees to make sure the knees are protected. Now we do want the toes and the knees facing up towards the ceiling. Hands can come beside those hips and we can literally try to lift ourselves up and find the very front of our sit bones. And same thing, we don't want to round and hollow the front body out and try to reach towards the floor. I want to keep my front body long. I am using my lower abdominals to support my low back. And then the movement here is trying to take that pelvis around the tops of our hip sockets. And just be mindful how that does translate into the low back. Hopefully we're feeling it a little bit more through the inner thighs and the backs of the legs. A few more breaths here, so those of you that would like to go a little further forward into it, you're more than welcome to. One more breath. And then our next inhale will bring us up. Lift up through the crown of the head, stack the spine. Take a hold of those knees, step those feet in. Feet are still wider than the hips. Fingertips or hands behind us. Windshield and rock your knees side to side. And then we'll bring our feet to one side and let our knees drop to the other and come off of our support and move around in our space however we need to so that we can end up in our tabletop position. So I'll give us a moment to figure out how we can coordinate that. So once we're in our tabletop, make sure you continue to spread those fingers wide. Hands are as broad as the shoulders. Our knees are stacked right underneath those hips and a little bit of space between the feet. Do draw that low belly in to keep the back in neutral. And let's be mindful of how we're floating our head in space. Try to keep it a nice neutral position. Keep that low back and hips level to the ground. And let's extend the right leg back for a nice stretch. Heel presses towards the floor. Exhale it down. Inhale, give that left leg a stretch behind. Tuck the toes under. Press the heel towards the floor as much as you want. Exhale, bring it down. We're going to re-extend the right leg, but this time a little bit more strengthening here. So squeeze the back side to hover our right leg parallel to the floor. The foot is flexed. We're going to practice crouching tiger tonight. So this is another pose that helps loosen up that hip area. So bend the right knee so that the sole of the foot is now facing up towards the ceiling. My right thigh bone is floating parallel to the floor. My right foot is flexed. On the inhale, I'm going to pretend that I'm trying to press the sole of the foot higher up towards the ceiling. I'm going to look forward. Now on my exhale, I'll have to point the toes of the foot to make space. I'm drawing the knee, swinging it under the body, and I'm going to tuck and round, drawing my nose towards my knee. On the inhale, flex the foot, press the sole of the foot up to the ceiling. You can look gently forward. Exhale, draw the belly in, the back and gently round, nose towards the knee. Let's try that 2 more times, crouching tiger. The inhale does strengthen the back, you're using your glute and hamstring. Exhale, swinging that knee forward. 1 more time. Next inhale, lift up, hold it up. And then exhale, just bring that right knee back to the ground. We should be in a nice neutral position, and there really shouldn't be a big shift in your weight dropping back into one hand or the other. Now rise up on those fingertips or fists for wrists if the wrists want to take a break. And let's just take a couple of our gentle cat and cows. Inhaling, gentle back bend. Exhale, scoop, tuck, and round into flexion. Just to make sure we get everything back in a nice neutral position before we go on to our other side. So let's come back into a nice neutral position. Extend the left leg straight back from the hip. Squeeze the back side to hover that left leg parallel to the floor. Toes are pointing towards the ground. So this already is some strengthening. Make sure your weight is equal in both hands. Press into the first knuckles of those fingertips. Float is heading in line with the spine. Now bend the left knee. Thigh stays parallel to the floor. Foot is actively flexing. Sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. Inhale, try to press the sole of the foot a little higher. Look gently forward. Exhale, you have to point the toes of the foot to make space to slide the knee forward. Draw the nose towards the knee. Inhaling is the strengthening, gentle back bending, lifting. Exhale, scoop, tuck, and round, pull it under. Good, 2 more. Looks good. We'll meet on our next inhale, pressing that foot up. Exhale, knee comes down. Adjust the hand position if you like. Couple cat-cows. Inhaling, lengthen. Decompress the spine. Exhale, stretch out the muscles of the back to round. Then 1 more of each. And then let's come off our hands. We'll come back to neutral. Bringing the big toes together, opening the knees wider than our hips to sit back on our wide knee child's pose to give those hips and low back another stretch. So dropping the hips to the heels. Hands may continue to reach forward, fingers wide to add the chest element. Dropping the belly, the heart, and the head to the ground. Remember, if the head isn't touching the ground, slide your arms or prop under the forehead. And if that is too much compression for the knee joint, slide a pillow or the blanket behind the knees, or keep your hips elevated up in the air and bring your weight onto your forearms. So that lower half of the body relax, release towards the ground. Nice stretch out that low back and lumbar area. One more breath. So on our next inhale, let's look forward, float the head up and the body back up to our tabletop. So we'll need to reorganize our knees and our feet. Walk those hands about 1 hand distance forward, fingers still wide, point those index fingers straight forward. Tuck the toes under behind us, draw the low belly in, and we'll press the ground away from us to lift up and back and maybe our first downward facing dog of our day. So another nice big stretch for the whole back of the body. Feel free to pedal the feet 1 foot at a time, bending the opposite knee and sinking opposite heel towards the ground to stretch out the backs of those legs. Keep a deep bend in both knees if there's too much pressure in the low back. Remember, we want to keep rooting down through the mount of the index finger and thumb by externally rotating those upper arm bones away from the ears and shrugging the shoulders away from the ears so our neck is long. Try to round in that low belly, belly to thighs, pushing thigh bones towards the back of our mat, all the way down those legs, down into the heels. So speaking of this water element, we are going to try to add a little fluidity and strengthening combination, and we've done this, I can't remember if we've done this recently or not in this class, but we're going to roll like a wave with that nice big 3-part breath a few times from down dog to plank pose. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can drop down for a moment and take a break and just have a peek. So what will happen on the inhale, we're going to try to articulate through the joints of the body. So breathing in. Lift the heels up, lift the hips up. Now I'm tucking the chin to the chest and I'm rolling through the spine. And now we might need to slide the feet back a little bit as I stack my shoulders over my wrists and I stretch the crown of the head forward into plank. Exhale, tucks the chin, and then I roll through my upper back, mid back, up through the hips. And then all the way back down the legs to the heels again into a long downward facing dog. Inhale, I lift the heels up, the hips up, roll through my low back, mid back, upper back. Crown of the head is the last thing that extends forward into plank. And then on the exhale, good, nice. Really feel like you have a wave rolling through the whole body. Tuck the chin, poof up the back of the heart, mid back, low back, hips down to the heels. And good, move at your own pace. Find your breath. Let's all try to do one more. Exactly, I really want to see rolling through every bit of your body. This is a really nice way to stretch out the muscles and get rid of tension and tightness, and especially for all the joints, articulation. The next time you end up back in your downward facing dog, we'll pause there. Or drop down to the knees in child's pose if you need to take a break there as well, whatever feels best for you tonight. If you want to take a break from being upside down for a moment, just drop back down to the knees or sit back to the heels in child's pose. Let's take one more breath. And then on our inhale, we are going to move to a standing forward fold. So if you're down into a modification, you can bring yourself back up, look forward, walk your feet to your hands to your feet. We do a little prancing action, stretching out one leg at a time. Remembering our modification is to bend knees and place elbows on thighs. Little deeper, take a hold of those elbows to ragdoll, a little sway of the shoulders, the head, and the neck. So same thing, this rolling action again. Bring your hands under the thighs. Do bend your knees a little bit. We'll all tuck our chin and make sure we're inhaling to come up from our inversion. We're going to round up one vertebra at a time. Inhale, inhale, inhale. The head should be the very last thing to come up. And then once we come up, draw your shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back and down. Remember, if you get lightheaded, sit down. And then we're standing tall, up in Tadasana. Let's reach our arms up nice and wide and try to inhale even more. Bring those arms overhead, big stretch. Bring those palms to touch, and exhale, hands to heart. One more time, just a nice standing, extended mountain pose. Inhale, looking upwards, big stretch. Exhale, hands to heart. So I brought us up just to do a couple balancing poses this evening. And we did this one the other day. It's similar to our palm tree pose, our heel lifts, but it's called dropping post pose, and it's a qigong movement, so it has a little bit more of this fluidity to it, this element of getting the energy flowing through our body. So our feet will still be about hips width apart, and it has a counter movement with the hands and the arms to the feet. So like I said, some of us might find this a little awkward at first, but it might also be a nice little challenge for the brain. So arms come down beside the body and we relax the joints of the body. On the inhale, bend at the elbows and we're just floating our hands up in front of us. And the fingertips are pretty relaxed when we come up. Now on the exhale, we push down. I'm pushing down pretty strongly through my hands. So I want to feel like I'm feeling some resistance. And as I push down, I lift my heels up. And then I inhale, I lower the heels, and I softly float the hands up in front of the body. And then when I exhale, I push my hands down towards the earth and simultaneously lift the heels up. Inhale, heels down, hands up. Exactly. Exhale, push and lift. Good. Let's try 2 more. Inhale, dropping pose, pose. Exhale. 1 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, push. Now let's try to hold here tonight. So don't hold the breath though, but my arms are down and my heels are up. Now turn the palms out and let's inhale, try to reach those arms up. So we're lifting, reaching, extending. Reach a little bit over to the right. Inhale it up. Exhale, reach a little bit over to the left. Inhale, touch the ceiling. Bring the palms together. Exhale, lower back down to the ground. So 1 more balancing pose. And again, this is a Qigong movement. So this balance is going to add some fluidity and movement, which does challenge our balance a little bit more, but we just do our best. And I think this is called white crane sips the water. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. I'll have to look it up. I can't quite remember tonight. But this one, feet are a little wider apart. And again, in these movements, we don't want to be too blocked out and rigid. We kind of want to be a little bit more buoyant, like in water, just kind of feeling connected to the earth, but more looseness in the joints, sort of say. So we'll take our palms to face forward and make little cups with your hands and pretend like you're scooping up some water in the hands as you bend at the elbows. And then we slide our hands right in front of our lower waist here. So just kind of right in line with the waist. Elbows are bent back. Now we'll shift our weight a little bit over to the right hand side. And on the inhale, I'm gonna bend my left knee up. And I'm gonna try to reach my big toe forward towards the ground and lightly touch it. And then exhale the heel, little bend in that right leg. And then the toe. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, lower back down. Lean a little bit to the left. Inhale the right knee up. Toe touches slightly forward, just nice and lightly. So I'm bending into my standing leg a little bit. Heel, toe, inhale, exhale to our right. Lean a little bit to that right. Inhale the knee up. We touch toe, heel, toe, lift, and lower. Lean it over. Knee comes up, toe, heel, toe, lift, and lower. Let's try 1 more time to each side. Lean to the right, just smooth, even, steady breaths. Pretend like we're just trying to touch the tip of the toe on the heel into a little pool of water, creating little ripples. And still holding the water in our hands. Try to not let the water that we're holding in our palms fall out. And after we finish that right side, we'll drop it back down, come and weight back onto both feet. Inhale, float those little pools of water up in front of the shoulders. This is called pushing out the walls. On the exhale, flip your palms out beside the shoulders and very forcefully with a lot of strength, push. So you should feel all the muscles in your arms start squeezing to the bone, really strong. Then drop, super relaxed. Inhale, bend the elbows, slide the hands in. Exhale, activate, spread the fingers, push. Feel that resistance, like you're pushing 2 big walls out of the way. Then drop, relax, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. This time, pushing the wall, we push it forward. So exhale, push. Use all your might and strength. Push that wall out of the way. Then inhale, immediately soften and relax. We're moving through those 2 dimensions. Inhaling soft. Exhale, power, strength. Push it out of the way. Inhale, soft. Exhale, big push. Inhale, soft. This next exhale, we take the hands and you push down, all the way back down towards the ground beside you. Flip the palms out. Inhale, reach all the way back up. Nice long extension here. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So depending if we moved on our mat or not, let's all try to meet back up towards the front of our mat. Standing back in our Tadasana. Shoulders away from the ears, stacked over the hips. Nice strong legs, equal weight on both feet. Nice relaxed face. Inhale, re-extend those arms up, nice big stretch. Micro bend those knees, exhale, hinge from those hips to swan dive our body back down to whatever forward fold we're choosing to take tonight. We'll pause for a moment here, so feel free to prance the legs again, to do a little swaying movement in the head, neck, and shoulders, releasing tension and tightness off the upper back. But do keep that low belly engaged, even that pelvic floor pulling in and up. Inhale, we'll take our halfway lift. Float the heart up, hands to shins, activate the muscles of the upper back. Next exhale, bends the knees, plants the hands. Let's take a big step back, float the hips up, and then back and down into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. One more breath here. Let's inhale, float those heels up nice and tall. This next exhale, we'll drop the knees to the ground, sitting back and down one more time into Balasana or Child's Pose. More traditional version, knees and feet stay together. Head falls to the floor and the hands come back to the feet. We just let our body tuck into a nice little comfortable ball here, allowing that low back in and around the hips to get a nice big stretch. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the chin, and inhale. Let's try one more time to roll the spine up like a wave, vertebra by vertebra. We'll shift our weight over to either hip and bring those feet forward. So we're going to go into a couple more hip openers here, but we're going to do these from a seated position. And though I always tell us and myself to sit up on things, for these particular poses, we can try to stay flat to the floor because we're going to be shifting and lifting possibly. So from here, we'll start in Dandasana and extend the feet forward. Now remember, if straightening the legs out on the mat causes us to throw our back up, we need to bend our knees up. Or you can take a little lift under there for now, but for our purposes, you might just want to bend your knees up to sit up nice and tall. Feet are active, toes are all in one straight line here. So the first pose we're going to take is a half pigeon, maybe cradle the baby pose. So from here, we'll step our right foot in, almost in line with the left knee. And we can use it as a little bit of a brace to help us sit up nice and tall. So the most important thing with this pose is that I want us to really have an active right foot. So what I'm trying to do is pick my toes up from the floor so that that right foot is active. And then I'm going to take a hold of the right foot and roll my right thigh open. So I'm externally rotating this right thigh and try to cross my right ankle above my left knee. So the right ankle is above the left knee, not on the knee, not below the knee. Now, if that doesn't happen tonight, you will bring the foot to the floor and just stay here tonight in a variation of Janu Shirshasana, okay? So if that right ankle is just above that left knee, and if you want support the outside of your right knee as well to give it some support. We should never feel these poses in and around the insides or outsides of the knee. If you feel any pinching or pain, you need to come out of the pose and do an alternative because it's not worth it. We're trying to open up the head. So if someone like me, this is really challenging to do. Let's take our hands behind us. You can point the fingertips back and kind of lean back to give some space for that hip. Some people like to have their fingertips forward. Now we might just be right here tonight. I'm just continuing to let that right thigh roll open, trying to get in that right hip. If we want a little bit more, slide the left foot in towards you. So now the left knee has been up to the ceiling. And what I'm doing is I'm straightening my arms, pressing the ground away from me. I want my spine to be long, and I'm trying to lift my chest towards the shin bone. Right foot is super active. Don't let your right foot relax. Keep it flexed. That will also help protect the knee. This is a seated pigeon pose. A little rocking might target that outer hip a little bit more. So this is that outer right hip. Now, if you have a little bit more space to move into, try cradle the baby pose. The left arm takes the sole of the right foot into that left elbow crease. The right arm cradles around the right knee, interweaving the fingers, re-extending the left leg. Ideally, you're sitting up nice and tall, and some of you, your shin bone might come up more towards your chest, and you can cradle the baby here. For me, because I'm so tight, actually just being here, I can kind of get into more intense stretching. So whatever feels best for you and that right hip. Let's take one more breath. So if you're cradling the baby and you have a hold of the leg, you can bend your left knee back up and place the right ankle back on the thigh bone so that we all end up back here. And then we can slide the left heel back forward. Help that right knee back up, taking a hold of the foot and the knee. And then you can take behind the thigh to straighten the right leg out and bring it back down to the ground. If your wrists need a quick break, just give them a little shake. Interweave the fingers, pretend you're trying to pull your wrists apart. And we'll try that on the other side. So step the left foot in, about in line with that knee. And then you'll help that foot up. It's actively flexed. So pull your toes up so this foot's actively flexed. Right hand to foot, I'm supporting my left knee with my left hand. And then I'm bringing my right ankle just above the right knee. Right leg strong, left foot is strong. I'm going to let my left thigh bone try to externally rotate open towards the ground. If it's better to support that leg with your hands, continue to do so. If it doesn't cross easily, bring the foot to the floor, to the inside of the thigh for Janu Shirshasana, and you will stay there the whole time. Those of us that want to go a little further, hands, fingertips behind. Keep the chest lifted, spine long, slide the right heel in. Then you're lifting the chest up towards the shin bone. Left foot stays actively flexed to protect the knee. Little rock side to side is fine. You might find that one side feels quite different than the other. This side is actually a little bit more flexible than my first side. Cradle the baby pose if you want to explore that. Take the foot into the crease of the right elbow. Left arm wraps around and move the fingers. You're trying to sit up as tall as possible. Right leg can re-extend to the ground and you can cradle the leg in towards you there. Again, don't let this translate to the knee joint. We should be feeling this on the outside of the left thigh. One more breath. To release, if you have cradle the baby, feel free to bend the right knee back up, place the left ankle back on the right thigh, and then together we'll all slide the right leg back out. We'll sit up tall, help the knee and the foot back up, take the hands behind the left thigh, stretch the left leg out, bring it down to the ground. Bend your knees up to help you sit up tall, a little loosey-goosey in the rest. So we are going to do one more pose here. This is one we did a few classes ago. This is going to be reverse tabletop. It does put a pressure on those wrists again, so just be mindful of that. Reverse tabletop, maybe into Purvottanasana, reverse plank pose. So in reverse tabletop, take the heels of your hands, fingers point to the back of your mat and line up the heels of your hands with the outsides of your hips. Now glue the top of your middle finger to the floor, float the palms up, spin around on the tip of that middle finger and drop the palms back down. So your elbows are bending backwards and your fingers are facing forward. Hands are still shoulder width apart. And then we'll step our feet in, and your feet have a few inches between them. They're still hips width apart. We'll take a nice deep breath in. You're gonna ground through the hips. You're gonna squeeze your backside and try to float the hips up as you press into the ground. If that's too much for our wrists, our shoulders, feel free to come out of the pose. You're welcome to revisit Baddha Konasana and stretch up those hips there. This pose is just a different way to strengthen the back side of the body, squeeze the glutes, and also stretch the front of the body. Take one more breath in. Exhale, bring the hips down. Now from here, just flip over to the backs of your hands. Gently drag your knuckles forward. Praying mantis, pinch the forefingers to the thumb. As strongly as you can, pull your fingers to your forearm as you bend the elbow to counter that compression on our wrist. Exhale, shake it out. One more time, slide the tops of the hands back, drag the hands forward. Pinch the fingers to the thumb, pinch and pull, pull, pull. Exhale, let it go. So we will revisit this pose one more time. If that's already good for you, you will revisit reverse tabletop. If you'd like to try reverse plank with me, you need to be very careful how that translates to the usual suspects, which are our knees and our low backs. Same hand position. You will line the heels of your hands up with your hips, fingers face back to start. Glue the top of the middle finger to the ground, float the palms up, spin your hands around, drop back down. So you're leaning back a little bit, elbows are bending straight back, fingers are facing forward and they're nice and wide. So tabletop, same thing, you would step your feet in, squeeze your backside, lift up. Purvottanasana, you keep your legs extended in Dandasana, they're together. You press into the ground, point the toes, and lift the body up. You try to get your toes to touch the floor. Ooh, you get some cramping in the feet like I just did. That's normal. It's a really intense stretch for the tops of those feet. We'll try one more. Good modifications, y'all. If you're modifying, that's great. Not happening tonight for me. Breathe it in. And then exhale, bring it down. Same thing, you can bend your knees up, flip to the tops of the hands, praying mantis, gently drag, pinch fingers to thumbs, pull, pull, pull. Exhale, shake it out. All right, it's time to work our way back down to the ground. Feel free to roll one side and use your hands to walk yourself down. Those of you that want to do a little bit of abdominal work, it's some more of this rolling wave-like work. We can do our slow roll down. Soles of the feet touch the ground, knees open a little wider than the hips. Fingertips stretch straight forward. I hollow out the belly. And with control, I'm using my abdominal muscles. I try to lower vertebra by vertebra through the low back, lumbar, mid back, upper back. Finally, the head touches down. I reach my arms overhead. I straighten my legs down. And I take my long body stretch here for a moment. Stretching side to side, front to back. Breathe it in. And then exhale, float those arms down. So I want us to get into a little bit into our hips just for a couple more poses, and then we'll move into our final relaxation tonight. So poses that we often do anyway. Walk your shoulders under, walk your feet in. Let's draw our knees into our body for a moment and do a little rock side to side. So we'll revisit Baddha Konasana here. So let your knees open wide. Try to reach your hands between your legs, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. You can hold on to your feet, your ankles, or even to the outsides of the legs. Gently draw the heels to the pubic bone, using our elbows to help open those hips. Shoulders are relaxed down, back of the head is rounded. Low back should be flat to the floor as well. Taking our yogi toe grip, we take the peace symbol in our hands, glue the index finger and middle finger together, palms face towards each other. Those two fingers slide between the big toe, second toe, thumbs on top. And then on the inhale, you might need to shift your hand position, it's fine. Try to stretch the right leg out. A little lean to the right, maybe even the foot touches the floor. Inner thigh, hip, groin muscle stretch. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, left leg stretches out. Little lean to the left, maybe the foot touches. Exhale, bring it back. Let's try one more to each side. Inhale, stretching it out. Exhale, back to Baddha Konasana. Inhale, left side. Exhale. One more time to each side, or our Supta Konasana with our yogi toe grip. Opening both legs out into our V. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed down and the low back down. And then moving right into happy baby pose. Dropping the knees wide. If you continue to have those toes, remember your toes resist back, or if you want to move your hands differently, feel free to do so. Now try to let those thigh bones sink down, knees to those outer armpits. Let the sacrum continue to sink down. Take a couple deep belly breaths. One more breath in. Our next exhale, release the feet. Draw the feet and knees together. Give them a little squeeze. And then we'll drop the feet to the floor. Walk the feet as wide as the mat. Knees are bent open. For our final twist, we'll do windshield wipers. So a little bit more gentle of a twist, a little bit more of a hip opener. One more time, bending those elbows up from the shoulders, allowing the backs of the hands to fall to the floor. On the exhale, let your knees fall over to the right. The left side will gently arch up off the ground. The more we can let the knees sink towards the ground, the more intensity of the stretch we'll feel across the front of the left thigh, the hip, the waist. Do try to let the shoulders be heavy. Now the head may turn to the left for a little counter twist. And if it is okay on your knees and your low back, you may take your right foot, lift it up, and place it on top of the left outer thigh. And the weight of your right leg is going to take you deeper into the pose. It's a self-adjustment. And your low back will arch up a little bit more off the ground. So just be very mindful of how that feels for the body tonight. Let's try to hold for just a couple more breaths. Now, those of you that have moved into the self-adjustment, carefully bring the right foot back down to the ground. And then we'll inhale the head and the knees back up towards the ceiling. If you feel like you need to do a little scooch in the low back, do so. Exhale, both knees fall over to the left. Remember, they're not stacked, they're staggered, like the windshield wipers of a car. And then we really just try to let the weight of the knees fall to the ground, or energetically we can push that right knee a little further towards the ground. Our right side, little arch. The more the knees sink, the more that will open up and stretch the front of the thigh across the hip into the waist. Sink the shoulders down, head may turn to the right. Even close the eyes, slowly in the breathing down here at the end of our practice. Trying the self-adjustment, that would bring the left foot up, placed on the outside of the right knee or thigh, and the weight of the left leg pulls the right leg even closer to the ground. Two more breaths. If we have the foot on the thigh, place the left foot back down to the ground first. Inhale the head and the knees back up towards the ceiling. Little scooch needs to happen in that low back. Make it happen. Now from here, let's try to stretch the legs straight back out down the middle of the mat and slide the hands back overhead for one more long body stretch, trying to keep that length and that openness through the hips. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, the arms will float down beside us, rolling the palms open. And at this point, we will take a few moments to get comfortable. So if you do want to bring your pillows and folded blankets back under the body, you can roll to one side and do that. If you like this connection to the ground, maybe open the legs as wide as the mat or slide the soles of the feet back into Baddha Konasana. Take support under the head, use your eye coverings. We'll all take a moment to place our body in the most comfortable position, the most supported position that we can. I'll guide us through a little bit more relaxation this evening. Give us a few moments of peace and quiet, and then use the singing bowl to bring us out to finish class together. Just like we did at the start of class, allow the whole weight of the body to sink into the ground, relaxing all the muscles of the body, loosening up all the joints. Smooth all the skin across the face, around the forehead and brow, the eyebrow center. Poof the cheeks with air, relaxing the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Notice all the contact points with the body and the floor. And relax those points 10% more. Relax the area around the waist, the abdomen, the low back. Notice the bones of the pelvis, the thigh bones, and that connection at the hips. Letting go of any tension or tightness around the hip sockets. Relaxing the lower half of the body. And just like water, let that relaxation trickle all the way down the legs, through the knees, into the ankles, the feet, and the toes. Our breath becomes nice and easy and quiet, rolling in and out of the body naturally, just like the waves of the ocean rolling in and out. If the mind wanders away, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath, giving ourselves just one more moment this evening to let go, to relax, and sink into Shavasana. So we'll gently start to come back to the natural breath. And start to breathe life back into the body. Lifting up the toes and the fingertips. Gentle rock of the head side to side. Roll the wrists and the ankles. Inhale, breathing, re-extend those arms overhead. And taking a moment to create space in the body, side to side and front to back. Spread the fingers and toes, stretch out the waist and the rib cage. Big breath in. On our exhale, float the arms down, walk the feet in. And we'll hug those knees up and into the body, rocking out the low back. Right arm falls beside the head. Rolling onto that right side and pausing in our sleeping baby pose for a moment. And then keeping the eyes closed or soft, pressing into the ground. Being mindful of our space, we'll bring our bodies up and visit any comfortable seated position. Sitting up tall on our sit bones, all the way up through the crown of the head. And taking just a couple more breaths together this evening. Reaching the arms out from beside the body, palms up. Inhale, breathing, let's flip those arms all the way up to the ceiling. And let's gather up everything we need for the rest of our evening. Turning the palms back out, exhale, float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground, letting go of all that other junk we don't need this evening. Let's take one more breath together. Inhale, arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, lowering the hands down in front of the heart. Humbly bowing the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together tonight. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. And my continued thank you again for all of your support, all of your patience, for supporting all of us and each other. It means a lot. So thank you all.